Okay. Welcome. Thank you for coming to this workshop today. My name is Virginia Velati Torona, and I'm one of many librarians at Allen Hancock College. I'm going to reiterate throughout the presentation that we're here to support you, to cheer you on at any stage of your research process. You're more than welcome to connect with you. We highly encourage that. So sometimes students come to us with a very quick question that perhaps turns into something larger and requires a little bit more time. So the focus of today's workshop is going to be specifically how to navigate the library catalog. So we're going to focus specifically on that one resource within the library that actually encompasses quite a bit. So I'll be going over how to contact us, how to connect, how to reach out, also what the catalog is. We might interchange things like catalog and OneSearch. So when I say catalog or OneSearch, I'm talking about the same thing. We'll be focusing on accessing and finding resources, some of the tools that are incorporated into this catalog that'll make your life as a researcher and a student much easier. Then we'll also talk about how to access your library account. So if you've ever checked out an item and you have questions about renewing items or seeing what you have on hold or anything like that, we would also do it through the catalog, and I'll walk you through that. And so after the overview, I'm going to take you into the library's website so that we can kind of test drive and play around, and then answer more of those specific questions that might come up as you're navigating. So I always say sometimes we cover a lot during an orientation or a workshop or during a chat session. And so it's always nice to know that we are here and available anytime after those interactions. And we're here to help you. So no question is a bad question. We're always happy to help. And we have multiple methods of connecting. So whether you're on campus or online, we do have people, live people, even on chat, available to assist you. And as a student, you have access to thousands and thousands of resources that are credible, that have been curated by a team of librarians who know what is expected of a college level research assignment, for example. But I also want to highlight that not only do we include academic resources such as academic journals or textbooks, but we also have other things that might seem more like entertainment. So if you want to read on your free time or you want to access an audiobook, we have a lot of those materials as well. And our hours might change from semester to semester. So like if you're used to visiting us via chat on the weekends, double check our hours, and I'll show you how to do that as well. But main takeaway from that is that there are people here to help you, and we're always glad to do so. So the catalog is kind of like the world of the library and all of the materials inside of the library in one place for you to search. So you might notice on the library's website, we have a search bar that's named OneSearch. And basically what that is giving you access to all of these materials and resources through the library. So you would be able to find print books that would be available at the library that you can physically check out, or you might find digital materials that you can access from your phone or your computer or any other device that you might have. And again, as I mentioned, we do have access to your library account. And underneath the search bar, you'll also notice that there is a video and a guide that has a lot of information. So we will cover that also. So I just wanted to point that out because sometimes there's something very specific that I might not cover in a workshop, but there's always a repository of other videos and research materials that'll help you out. So in order to access all of these materials and to access the most amount of materials, I highly suggest that you have your student ID and password handy. And of course, the device of choice. A lot of students like using their phone or tablet. Many times when we're chatting with a student, for example, it's helpful for you to have whatever is most comfortable for you. So if you just got a new computer and you want to try it out, awesome. If you're on the go and you have your phone and you have a quick question, that's great too. So you can reach us from any device. And then there's a way for us to even, if you're like reaching us through chat, we can even send you the transcript so that you have access to these links later on. So it's really cool that you have all of these resources available, and there's a way to follow up as well. So that's just like a very quick overview. I'm going to switch over to the library's webpage now, just so you can see what it is that I'm talking about specifically. So when you first get onto the Allen Hancock website, you'll find the library link at the top middle right corner of the screen. So we're going to click right there, and it'll take us to our main page. So you'll notice that our OneSearch, or a catalog search bar, is located right there, front and center. Right next to it, there's also a chat available. So if you've ever used this function, it's really great. If you haven't, I encourage you to try it out. It's something that's super quick. Again, it is an actual person that will be able to help you, a librarian that is from Allen Hancock. So make use of that while you're searching, or if you just have a quick question, we're there online available to help you. And that video that I mentioned about how to use the catalog is linked right below. And there's also this really cool guide. So I'm going to click right there just to show you all the different components that you'll find. So the catalog is going to give you access to many different resources, as I mentioned, and some of the highlights would be not only those academic journals and textbooks, for example, but we also have specific collections that I wanted to highlight just in case you're not familiar with them. So there's the Books for Bulldogs, and that is a resource that is available. Many of our classes have a textbook available for semester-long checkout. So if you're curious about that, or you forget after we do this workshop, you can always come back to this guide, and it shows you step by step how to access those resources. So we'll do a test in a minute, but I just want to show you this navigation bar to the left because it breaks down each step of how to get to them. So again, once you're on the library page and you click on the guide that's right below the search bar, it'll take you to this page. We also have laptops and hotspots available for checkout. So you could search for a laptop, for example, in our catalog, and it will let you know how many are available in that particular moment. So if you're looking for a Chromebook for the rest of the semester, you can see how many we currently have available. And that would be really good for you to know in case, your computer broke, or you can't afford one at the moment, or whatever it is that you need to borrow a laptop for. So that is accessible also through the catalog. We also have classes that have textbooks that are available online. So many courses are working towards having more of an affordable textbook policy. And so many instructors actually offer their classes ebooks or digital books, and they've partnered with the library so that students can access these resources for free. So I'll walk you through that process as well. So again, this is first a little overview, and then we'll dig in a little bit deeper. The next section, we have citation tools. So if you're ever working on an assignment and you're keeping track, you always want to keep track of your sources. Just know that if you find something good, there are these really great tools available to you so that you don't lose track, not only of the item itself, like the article itself, so that you can email it to yourself, but also those citations. A lot of students become overwhelmed by the idea of having to cite if they've never done it. It takes a little bit of time, but this tool is really handy. It'll save you time, and it'll kind of allow space for other things that you'll want to focus on. So I'll show you how to do that as well. And then there are other search techniques that are a little bit more advanced. So hopefully we have time to go over them, but I do encourage you again to take a look at this guide after the workshop and just get a better understanding of how to better navigate this, all of the things that are available to you just through this one resource on the website of the library. And then lastly, we'll go over the library account. So again, if you've ever checked anything out, if you access the catalog, there'll be a sign-in button that I'll show you, and then how you can access all the materials that you may have checked out at some point, in order to renew something if you have it right now, but you need more time. And so there are a couple of steps on how to request a book as well as how to renew them. So again, that's all available from the guide. And we also have our chat again. So if you have questions, you can always access us through the chat as you're navigating these things. So please let me know if you have any questions as we move along. I'm going to move into the actual catalog so that we can navigate together and do a couple of examples of what you might find and how to filter your results and so forth. So I'm going to go back to the library's main page here. And so our starting point is going to be the OneSearch bar. So I'm going to click search here only to open up the catalog for you to see what it looks like. I haven't entered anything yet, so I haven't told the catalog what it is that I want to find. I just want to show you what this looks like. So you can start a new search. If you're looking for laptops, there is a link directly for that, as well as the online books that I was mentioning earlier. You'll also see that sign-in button. I would recommend before you actually start searching to just sign into your account, because sometimes that's going to make it easier later on if you find something, to just give you immediate access as opposed to like finding and then stopping and logging in. So it's a little bit more seamless if you are already signed in. So once you have, that'll give you access to the whole collection. Sometimes you won't find something and we have to dig a little bit deeper in a different place, but for the purposes of this workshop, we're going to focus specifically on what we can find in this catalog. So say you are interested in finding out about healthcare, and this is a general, very, very general example. I want to show you what you might find by just typing in one word. Something that I want to highlight is we're not typing in a question here or a sentence. We're just pulling the actual terms that we need to find information. So those are going to be our key terms. So if I am searching for data in healthcare, I want to only look at the terms that would help me find that information. So I would do like healthcare. And here you begin to have a couple of examples: leadership, reform, financial management. If that's not what you're looking for, you can continue and put something else in. But I want to show you how many results we get from just using that one term, healthcare. All right. So at the top here, you'll see that we have 1,437,000 plus results. You'll see all sorts of resources highlighted. So you'll have a book, an academic journal, you might have an e-video, for example, so lots of different things. Of course, if I'm researching and I put a very broad term, I'm going to get more results. So I want to narrow down a little bit further. So if I am looking for something a little bit more specific, this might be a good time to incorporate that into our search terms. So let's see. Sometimes students have a little bit of difficulty deciding what kind of terms. So to me, it's helpful to kind of look and browse through my results first, and then determine whether or not I'm getting close to my results. Here, because it's so broad, I'm getting way too many things. So I want to narrow down a little bit. So let's look at diet, healthcare and diet, and let's see what that does to our research results. So I'm still in the thousands. 26,000. But again, I want to show you what pops up. So as I'm starting to look through and narrow my topic, I want to keep kind of track of my terms as I go along. And I can look to see, so they're talking about apps here, oral health and diet nutrition. So that's a little bit more specific. This might be something that's of interest to me, long-term impact of the low FODMAP diet. So I'm going to click on this. Say I didn't realize what I was looking for, but one of the first things that pops up tells me, oh yeah, that's a subject that I can continue researching because it's in line with what I'm hoping to find. So if I click on this article, it gives me a lot of information that's pretty useful, especially as I'm first starting my research. So I have the title, I have the authors, and then how to access the article so I can download the PDF. I can read it online. And then the other tools that are available here that are really helpful are the permalink, email, and citation. And I want to point these out because sometimes students say, cool, I found an article, and they go to the top here and copy the web address as opposed to using the permalink or emailing. Please, one thing you need to remember is to use these tools as opposed to the link in the website. The reason we do that is because it's going to allow you to access this at a later date. So these are the links that you want to use as opposed to the web address. That's the permanent link, and you'll be able to access it after your first login. So further down, you'll see that there is a full text availability link. So that's where you would actually click on it to open up the full article. And if you haven't signed in, that's where it would prompt you to do so. But then it takes you to a database. So the catalog, what it's doing is kind of compiling all of these resources. And then you're going to go to like mini libraries, databases, where all of these articles are actually stored. So you're going to go from the catalog into a database, and that's what we're doing right now. We went from the catalog into this database, and that's where we're going to locate the article itself. And so once you find this, you'll see similar information as what you found before, but in addition to that, perhaps a longer abstract or summary. And so that allows you to determine whether or not this would be a good match for what you're looking for. If you decide that you're ready to read it, you can open up the PDF full text, and it'll be a 13-page article. So you can go ahead and do that. If you think, now's not the time to read, either way, you want to email this to yourself. You don't want to lose track of your things. So these tools are going to appear not only in the catalog, but also in your database. So make sure you use these. They're super handy. And so then you can continue looking through these results. So one of the things that's really helpful is if you're just starting your research and you're trying to find good key terms in order to find those articles that align with what you're looking for, you can look at the subject terms here and see what might make more sense to you. So perhaps you're looking specifically at let's see, fermented foods, or you're looking for quality of life. So those might be terms that you are interested in including in subsequent searches. So that's something that I like to look at when I find a good article, something that matches what I'm looking for, making use of those terms that are popping up that are linked to the subject itself. Again, you have a summary here. So just to kind of summarize what we just did, we had typed in a couple of terms here, and then I browsed through the first couple of results. I found something good. I want to make sure that I email it to myself. Another situation that might arise is that you found 26,000 results, and what you need to do is now narrow way down. And so there are these really helpful filters on the left-hand side that you'll be able to use in order to narrow your results. So some very common filters that you might see are peer-reviewed journals. So if your instructor told you, please use scholarly articles or peer-reviewed journals, you can actually narrow your results by that kind of source specifically. You might also want to look at the date. So sometimes your instructor is going to tell you, I only want you to use articles that were published in the last 5 years. And so there's also a way where you can narrow down to those results. So let's take a look to see what might happen if from those 26,000 results, we click on peer-reviewed journals, as well as a last 5-year range. So we're still in the thousands, but we are down to 12,000. So we've cut it in about half. Again, if I find something, you might want to double check. I like to browse through the first couple of results and see if I can like steal some terms that might help me for subsequent searches. But if I know now that my topic is going to be this specific low FODMAP, and I apologize if I'm seeing this incorrectly, we can incorporate that. So now we're just down to 48 results, which is actually a nice manageable amount. So again, as you browse through, you can always use the filters on the left-hand side, and you can also browse. And as you look through, you might find another article that you like. And so you can click on it and then make sure that the headings kind of make sense for what you're looking for. The description is going to give you an overview of the article itself. So if you decide, okay, cool, this looks like it's kind of in the realm of what I'm looking for, again, you can use that email or permalink. If you do end up using this as a source for your paper, you can always use that citation button and just make sure that you're selecting the right format. If you're in a psychology class, perhaps it might be APA, a history class would be Chicago, English and other subjects might use MLA. So just make sure that you're selecting the correct format, and then you can copy this and incorporate it into your paper. Again, if you ever have questions about citations or navigating, you can just click right here and we are available to chat. So you can just ask your questions as you're doing your research. So that is one of the aspects. So that is kind of like an overview if you are searching for an article or a book for a research project. I'm going to pivot a little bit now, and I'm going to show you some other sections that might be helpful. So say you are looking for those academic textbooks that are available for your classes. You might want to try, let's see, what is the textbook name that we are looking for? Let's look at history. I know that's not the actual title of the book, but that's what's coming up right now in my brain, and sometimes we just forget. So let's see what is available. So we're going to look at history, and then in my drop-down menu, I want to look for books for Bulldogs. So I'm going to click right there. And the Books for Bulldogs, again, is that semester-long textbook checkout that is available to you as a student if your instructor or the library carries that item. So if I go down, not only am I getting information about the book, but also the subject specialist. So if there is somebody who can help me a little bit more closely because of a class that they've worked with, perhaps their name is going to show up here. So just keep in mind that that might be another resource for you. So say we are mid-semester, but let's take a look here. A World History of Photography. So that's a class that I'm taking. I found the title and I'm going to click on it. That'll bring up the title. It's a little slow connection here. And as we're moving through this, please don't hesitate to ask questions. Let's see what's going on. Okay, let's try that link. So what this is telling me is that the textbook that I looked up, World History of Photography, is available through Books for Bulldogs. So that means that I can check out the book for the whole semester. And there are some copies. So if I see something that says on loan until, it means that it's currently checked out, but I do have 2 other ones to select. So I could click on it and then say, oh, okay, this one is at the Santa Maria campus. I can go ahead and request it. So just keep this in mind. As students, we're paying a lot of money sometimes for classes, for transportation, for books, and knowing that this is a resource that's available to you might be a really, really good resource. So just keep that in mind. If you do end up selecting an item and you want to place a hold on it, then you would sign in and select that item and request where to pick it up. So keep that in mind, especially as the semester winds down and you're looking forward to registering for classes next semester, that is something that is available to you. And again, the way I got there was by typing in the title of my book and then selecting Book for Bulldogs from the drop-down menu. And then once I locate my book, I'll know whether or not that is an option for me, if there are any copies available. Okay. Laptops, it's pretty similar. So you would still have to search for them. Even though you're clicking on the link, you might also want to just try, if you forgot that there's a link at the top, you can just type in Chromebook laptop and it should show up with all the different selection that we have available right now. So if I'm at the LVC, at the Lompoc location, normally for classes, then I can see what is available. Again, if anything is showing up as on loan, it means that it's currently checked out, but I can see if there are more items available. And because we have so many computers, we might have to browse through a little bit, but that is basically how you would determine whether or not there is one available for you. So it might take a couple of tries until you actually find an available copy. And again, because it's mid-semester, you might not find anything available at the moment, but just keep in mind that this is a resource and that you can just search for Chromebook laptop in the search bar and that it should pull up what's available. And then once you find one that's available, you can click on it and then reserve it so that you can actually get that checkout. So again, if you have any questions, please let me know. We'll go back to look to see what else is available here. So we already went over textbooks, how to navigate and find them. We also found Book for Bulldogs. We looked for a couple of books and articles that kind of does like a general search for that. The other thing I wanted to point out is how to navigate to get the information from your own account. So if I were to sign in and find my particular account here, oh, and I see I'm actually logged into a different, okay, let's see here. Pardon this back and forth, but I'm using the general web account for us. So let's look at exploring psychology, for example. And then if I go to sign in and I just want to look up my account, it'll ask you for your information. Okay, so once you've signed in, you'll actually see your name at the top right, and you can see what you have checked out. So you can look at your loans or your requests. So if there's something, for example, a textbook that you wanted to check out or a book and it's currently on loan to somebody else, you're in line to get that book, then it would show under your request. I don't have any right now, so it'll tell me that. If I had checked something out, it would also be displayed. This looks like a very sad account, but I actually live further away from campus, so I don't have any books under my account at Allen Hancock. But as a student, you'll probably find yourself having a list of items here at some point in time. And that's where it'll tell you where your due dates are and other helpful information. So again, if you ever have any fines or fees or anything associated like that, or you're getting an error message, perhaps it's because your account is blocked. So you can find all of that information by clicking on your name and seeing what's available. Something that I really recommend doing is, in addition to checking your account right here, you can also chat if you have any questions, but actually our circulation staff is wonderful and super helpful. So if you need more details about something regarding your account, you can always contact us. And the phone number for Santa Maria is listed right here, as well as our hours. And then you also have the Lompoc Center, where you can call circulation and ask more. So for example, say you set a laptop out for checkout and you have a question. Okay, so I'm getting a question about access to video classes or tutorials. Are you asking about tutorials for research specifically? Or for a class, or because we do have classes and tutorials, but I want to make sure that I'm getting the right thing. Class tutorials. So for example, if I go to the right-hand side, and this is not going to be available through the catalog, it's going to be available through actually our research guide. So if you are on the main page, you'll see as you narrow down towards the bottom, you'll have under research, the research guides. So I'll click right there. And then you'll see that we have different subjects. So it depends on what class it's for. Like say it's health education. You have a class for health and wellness. And there are different instructions here for how to access different resources that might be related to that particular class or subject. So is this the kind of tutorial you were looking at or hoping to find? I'm not sure if you can hear me. You don't see the tutorial on my screen? Okay, let me stop sharing and I'll pull up the other one. Thanks for letting me know. Okay, let me go back. Can you see my screen okay now? I'll walk you through the, okay, perfect. Thank you for letting me know. So from the main page, if I scroll down and I look on the left-hand side, I'll go to library research guides. And then I can select whichever discipline I'm interested in. So sometimes you have like a particular class that is that had an orientation and a guide was created. So you might find that, like for example, an English class, you might find something like that, or you might have more general information that you're looking for. So if you were in English 105, perhaps you have a class guide versus a subject guide that is like English in general. So for example, in health, going back to our original example, there's a health and wellness guide, and that links you to some suggested resources that might be helpful to you as you're looking through library resources. So there's some ebooks as well as some different topics that you might be interested in, other resources that might be helpful. So is this what you were hoping to find now that I'm showing my screen appropriately? So what about tutorial for photography? So are you talking about like actually being able to take photographs or just like resources for photography students, video instructions? So you might be able to find that in one of our databases, like if there's a specific camera you want to look at or lighting. So that I would recommend, instead of going through the catalog, to go to our databases. And again, that's like kind of the difference between the general searching that you're doing through the catalog versus going a little bit more specifically into the databases. So we can take a look here and see if we could find any, just as an example. So the way I would do that, I would not be going through the OneSearch for that. I would probably go to databases. And then as opposed to, I would suggest going to an actual video database. So we could look to see from our list here, which ones are more like database type that is multimedia. So we have videos here at the bottom. And academic video online has a lot of different types of like disciplines within their database. So we could click on it and type in photography and see what comes up. So again, I went to the databases and then I filtered from all database type to just videos. And so then once I'm there, I can type in, you can browse by subject if you want, or you can look at photography. And it might be, let's see what comes up if we type in photography tutorial. So I have 45 videos that are popping up. And so studio photography, food photography basics, lighting, portrait lenses. So is this the kind of tutorial that you were looking for? Yeah. Okay. Great. Yeah. So we do have this particular database is really cool when it comes to like very specific types of things, and they're very short. This is an hour and 18 minutes. So as opposed to going to YouTube, for example, where anybody can post something, that might be a great resource, but you could also kind of cross-reference with what you're finding here. Just because in order to be published in this database, you have to have credibility, right? So you might find some great stuff on YouTube regarding photography and tips, and even TikTok videos on how to access stuff. But we do have resources through our databases that I would recommend first, so you can take a look at that. So if that answers your question, did you have any other questions that I could help with? Okay. All right. So I want to go back here to my original slideshow just to make sure that I didn't miss anything that I wanted to cover. Let's see. All right. So that was the information that I was hoping to cover today, but if you have any other questions, I'm happy to answer them. I can go through other resources shortly. You had mentioned, I'm going to stop recording right now though, just so you can ask away.